We'll start the meeting. Any change to the agenda?
Just number 4, County Highway X.
X instead of
W.
I thought that was.
If there is no, well, with that change, I'll ask for to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Public input? I don't see anybody. We'll skip to the next one. Ben is not here unless you've got the wastewater treatment plant updates.
Yep, he's got his report in my packet. He could not make it tonight, but nothing exciting going on. You know, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them, or we can, I can take that back to Ben and get the full answer if I can't answer them. But pretty standard month, nothing exciting. We're still working out that digester, you know, the coating challenge that's going back and forth between our engineers and the contractor. But it sounds like more so we're going to be dealing with it more in the spring once the temperatures warm up, because obviously right now is not a good time to be trying to put a coating on.
How'd the hiring go for the new guy?
The second candidate,
Yeah.
the first candidate, as you know, I think he had that in his memo.
Right, yeah.
That individual declined. So we went to person number 2. That person is coming in this week for his pre-employment health screening. And I haven't heard back, but it sounds like everything's on point right now. I don't foresee anything negative about that, but providing that hoop is jumped through, sounds like person number 2 will be getting an offer letter.
Okay.
Any reason why number 1 turned it down, or
We don't know.
weird?
I think it, Ben did say, he might have said it was more financially feasible to stay at his current job.
That's
I
probably
think that's
normally what it is.
what it was, so.
Okay.
Okay, next thing is review traffic analysis on Highway X.
So if you guys know Casey Beiersdorf, he's our Wapaka County Highway Commissioner. And we talked about doing, we asked the county to reduce the speed on Highway X from the boat launch into the city to I think Oshkosh Street is when it turns to 25 already. So the county highway did a traffic study, and Casey's here to kind of talk about that. So Casey, I will give you control of the screen in a second here. Hold on, I gotta get it so Mike can watch this too. Let's try.
Are they going to leave it alone?
Well, Casey's gonna talk about all that right now.
Just wait, hold your horses, Casey, because you're going to tell you about it.
Mike, can you see the map?
You're next.
Mike Pinch, can you see the map?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. All right, Casey, all yours.
All right, yeah, thanks for inviting me again. I'm not a traffic safety engineer, but I've got the roles and responsibilities to take all requests and try to make the best of it. And for this speed zone study on County Highway X, the first thing I typically do is reach out to the safety traffic engineers at the DOT, because they are just a phone call away. And I mention what we've got, and they say, well, here's your roles and responsibilities as a highway commissioner. What can we do and what can we not do? And so in an instance like in the city of New London here, because the speed discussion sits within the city's municipality, and it's ranging between 10 miles an hour and 45, 55 miles an hour. We just can handle all of this internally. So I don't need to go and get permissions from anyone above and beyond our level at a county government level or even at your municipal level. So he kind of sets me straight with that. And the reason there's a difference is because if I want to take a rural county highway outside of your municipality and make a speed zone reduction from 55 to say 35 or 25, I need a traffic safety engineer to approve that. But for this situation, I don't. So it's all handled within here. So that's kind of big picture. Then there's a few things that I need to do that justify it going to court or justify a traffic ticket going where the law gets involved. And so there's certain steps that have to be followed. The first one is getting the request from the municipality. And I think the city of New London had requested way back in March, April. It was some time ago. And so that's one of the steps that we have to do. The next one is to go ahead and identify who the stakeholders are all involved. Is it a town? Is it the city? It's just the city of New London and Wapaka County. So it's just us on this. The next step we got to do is collect our traffic data. What's going on out there that we want to request to make sure that Casey just doesn't want to drop the speed just to drop the speed. We got to have some type of some data that goes along with it. And so some of the tools that I have located up on the big screen is something that everyone has the right to go in and look at. What it is, it's a website called Community Maps, and it's every accident that's been recorded in the sheriff's department or state patrol system or city of New London. Every time there's an accident, once they report it, it gets inputted into the state's great big map. And so if I just back out very generically in Wapaka County for the last 10 years, you can see that in Wapaka County, these are all the accidents that occurred in Wapaka County. And anything in red is a fatality. Anything in orange is maybe loss of a limb or severely disabled the person. You start getting into the yellow accidents. That's more of like a fender bender. And the green accidents were very minor, where it was someone slid off the road or a call was called in, but the sheriff's department had to, or the city had to report it. So what we're doing now is we're focusing in this area that we're discussing and looking at all the accidents that had occurred. And I have this over the last 10 years. So that's my time frame. I could go back up to 20 years. So in this area here, you'll see Johnny's Little Bait Shop. And then over here to the right is Oshkosh Street. And if I kind of slowly zoom in here to Oshkosh Street, the area that we're talking about is kind of right here where this letter X is. To the east, that's all 25 miles an hour already. And from this letter X to the west, going out to the municipal limits, which is past Johnny's Little Bait Shop, kind of goes around this curve. And right when you get into this curve over here, that's where it goes from 35 to 40 miles an hour. So really, the area that we're looking at dropping the speed limit from 35 to 25 is just west of Oshkosh Street to this curve. And so that basically shows us the accidents. Over 10 years, you're looking at probably maybe a dozen accidents. And it does show that there was a fatality at this intersection. I can left click on it, and it doesn't give me too much in depth, but it says it occurred back in 2013 in June. So the reasoning for it, I don't know what it was, but it probably wasn't snow related. It probably wasn't springtime fishing related. It was June. So that kind of tailors into what we're looking at for accidents, which helps us make a decision on if we really want to move forward with whatever we want to do. So after we're done doing that, it gets more in depth. And so if I close out this community maps, what the county highway department has is this system called All Traffic Solutions. And it's a big billboard that records the volume of traffic, meaning the numbers of cars. And it also records the speeds of the cars. And we did this back in this summer. And all we were doing is we were collecting the amount of traffic. We're figuring out how many cars are going through there in a given day. And it didn't work out. We, the little tubes that you drive across, they got wrecked. And anyway, we decided let's put out our our big main system, and we set it up right in front of the highway shop, right in the front lawn, and we shut off the speed zone sensors so that no one knows that it's on or how fast they're traveling. All we're doing is we're collecting data. And we can set the parameters of the data, meaning 35 miles an hour and above, or 10 miles an hour to 90 miles an hour. We can collect a variance of ranges of speed. And so the first time we put this out in September, because the machine was used elsewhere in the county, we set the parameters from 35 and up. And when we got the report back, we're like, we want to know who's actually also going slower than 35 just to help us do some data. So we set the machine back up on, you'll see up here for the County Highway X eastbound traffic. We set it up on November 4th, and we took it down on November 10th. And this report right here shows us a variety of things all in one schedule or one print off. The column to the left shows the time of the day. The speed limit we set for our posted speed limit's 35. We shut the display off, and then it tells us what's going on. So in this 5-day or 6-day period, all day long, we found that total, there's not a lot of traffic traveling that section in the middle of the night, which there was only 12 cars. As we work our way to morning, you can start to see at 4 a.m., we had 34 cars, and then you can just see the volume of cars increasing throughout the day, and it shows when the majority of the traffic's coming and going. And ultimately, it says at the bottom that you had an average of 101 compliant vehicles that were traveling in this section. Now what's compliant? So I've got this little chart that it produces for me, which is pretty neat. Which this kind of tells me the best down here. Basically, our speed limit is this 35 mile an hour plane right there. That's what we set it at. And then whenever you're doing a speed zone study, you want to find out what about 85% of your traffic is traveling. That's just a rule of thumb. They throw out some of the highs, they throw out some of the lows, and they look at what the average driver is doing, because they're driving based off of the posted speed limits, the geography, the amount of driveways, people crossing the road, and it shoots us out a report. And this report is telling us that 85% of the traffic is traveling below the 35 mile an hour speed limit, and then at which hour of the day they're moving at that speed. All right, so I'm going to scroll back up here to this other one here. It says who's traveling at a low risk. And so what we put in our parameters of low risk travelers is anyone that's going 36 through 39 miles an hour. And we found out throughout the day, the majority of the speeders in this section are right around that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that are doing anywhere from 36 to 39 miles an hour. And then from 40 to 45 miles an hour is medium risk. There weren't any, again, this is a snapshot in time in November. It wasn't during a parade or lots of New Dublin days, you know. And then high risk is anyone that's doing 45 miles an hour and above. During this time period, we didn't collect anyone that was doing that. And so this gives us a general display of what's going on November 4th to November 10th. Why did we put it out then? And do we need to put it out again? That's for us to make the decision. There's no right or wrong answer. If we want to put it out in the spring to try to find more data or less data on more speeders, right now it's telling me that we currently don't have too big of an issue with the posted speed limit and the travelers during this early November timeframe. But it doesn't tell me what how do I know that your city police department isn't sitting out there that whole week? How do I know people know that I'm doing a traffic study? So there's all the influences that I don't know what's going on. So that's the report that I did to collect the data, which helps with step 2. It's recommended that when we're collecting data that we do it during non-peak times or not during parades. It's recommended we don't collect it around intersections where people are stopping and slowing, or collect it after a parade. So we really didn't do any of that. And that basically shoots me out a bunch of data that says, all right, we got some information that we didn't have before. What do we want to do? And so the next step is taking the request from the City of New London to my highway committee. And we have to approve and write a resolution to reduce the county highway speeds in this section from 35 to 25. And then that goes to the county board for a full resolution to reduce the speed limit in that zone on County Highway X. And then it gets filed into all my speed zone study at the highway department. And then if me as the highway commissioner, or people well beyond me, if I'm not here anymore, get subpoenaed during a traffic request as to why this all occurred and why we dropped it, all of this data in the request and my information is all approved, and it can be upheld within the court. So that's why I have to kind of cover my bases instead of just changing the speed limit signs. And so, I don't know, it's all good info. It tells a story. It maybe isn't what you were thinking. It might be more than what you were thinking. I don't know. It's up to the municipality. I'll do whatever you guys want to do, but I thought it was important for us to review what information we got. Also, this report that you see here is for eastbound. We also collected information for our westbound, and it basically showed the same information. You have to collect it in both directions. Good stuff. Probably too much. That's why I don't want to be a safety engineer again.
I think one of the reasons the request was for it was more so the danger factor of the area of the city garage, the sewage treatment plant being right there, the bus garage being down there with the people walking across the road for the buses, and the boat launch, the traffic coming out of the boat launch. I think that was the biggest concern with the reducing of the speed, was the danger factor, or the accident factor of happening, I guess, or whatever you want to call that.
Yep. So we never know what the potential is out there. We can only kind of say this is what happened, and that's unfortunate for this stuff. I'm good to do with whatever the city council wants to do, but I thought it was important to share this. So
I think a couple things come to my mind is, number one, if the study would have been done after St. Patty's Day, was still during the walleye run, probably early April, probably would have showed some different data. And secondly, for the committee here and the city wise, whatever you feel like you want to do, tell me, because I'm on the highway committee, and I'll go ahead and bring it forth.
And this by no means has to happen tomorrow or the next day. We want it to happen as soon as possible before that apparent injury occurs. If you want me to collect the data in the spring to see what's going on then too, or if you just want to move forward and be done with it, that's all. That's good to do too. So. That's kind of all I got, Chad. There's 13 driveways within this 2,400 foot stretch. A lot of them are businesses, commercial. Of them 13 driveways, I think 2 of them went into the old city grounds or on the north side along the river. So it's actually probably down to 11. There's one major intersection that comes out of there. The average driveway, the distance between all these driveways is less than 200 feet. And that's one of the parameters that says you probably should think on making a change if your driveways are 200 feet or less. And once I get to a certain point with it, the recommendation to the county board, a certificate stamped by an engineer that says it went through all the professional engineering studies that are out there, which is I'm kind of doing them. Then they stamp off on it, which would be an in-house engineer that we have at the highway department. And therefore it would be an official document at our level, not I don't need to take it to the state or anything, so.
I guess my recommendation at this point in time is because it was marked on Highway W, we're not gonna make a decision tonight on it at all. We can't. So maybe chew on what you guys got for information. We can talk about it at the next meeting and see where we want to go with it. You know, whether you guys want to see them, recommend for them to do a spring study, you know, during the walleye season, or just make the recommendation at the next meeting, say, yep, we still want to go at 25 miles an hour. We'll have to wait till the next meeting for that, unfortunately.
Well, as you can see, our number 5 item is addressing the same situation down there with a crosswalk by the buses. So that's the other, I personally went and talked to the people at the bus garage. I talked to the guy and the guys in the Wapaka garage. And I talked to Ben at the sewage treatment plant, and Johnny, the bait shop. And everybody was talking about the speed of the cars going by there and the danger factor. The girls down by the bus garage, they were animate about wishing we would do something with a crosswalk or something because the cars go by there. Well, 35 seems fast and you're standing there watching them zipping by you.
Sure.
Because they got to park across street, Casey, from where the buses are.
Yeah.
They park across the street and they got to walk over. Get to their bus.
I'm good to do with whatever you guys
Yeah.
want. It's not that I'm just sharing the data.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, the other thing, I mean, it's not do something, we can't tonight, but
Correct.
we meet twice a month anyway, and the highway department does, or highway committee does, so.
We have to, the city limit goes out exactly to where?
Pretty much stops at the, here, Casey, I'll take over.
Just before that curve, I
Casey,
think,
before you
Mike.
leave that, can I get that information that was
I'll
just
give
up
you
there?
all this. Yes,
Thank you.
I got it at a, yep.
It's darn near right after the past Riverside Park.
It's at the boat launch, pretty much.
Your city limits
Where the city, where that wall runs along there?
Yep.
right there.
Park wall.
Yeah,
So here's the wastewater treatment plant.
I guess I thought, well, yeah, city limits comes,
Yeah.
this where Catton Park wall comes down, right?
So if you're coming from Wyawega, for instance, it's 40 miles an hour for some time along the river. And then well before you get into the city limits, basically about 3,000 feet, and it's all on this map, it drops it down to 35. So traffic sees 35 miles an hour multiple times before they get by the bus garage. They see it twice. And I think just that alone kind of helps them reduce it. If wherever we want to go with 25 could be at the city limits as a keep stepping it down instead of holding 35 through there, that's fine as well.
Mike, there's electrical lines, power lines that go across the river, right by the boat launch. You can kind of see them there on the map. That's the city boundary on the west side.
Yeah, I take that route coming back from Wapaka meetings all the time, 54 Northport X. To be honest with you, I'm usually going between 40, 45 all the way. Even until I get to know it, so.
Yep. And a lot of driving at your natural speed is because of the geography. It's not tight. And this section of highway is rather open.
Yeah.
And therefore, people tend to cruise a little bit quicker. 25 will initially feel slow, but people get used to it.
Mhm.
And that becomes the norm over time. And this section we're talking about is really only 2,400 feet long. It's less than a half a mile. So we're not taking a big section of road.
Okay. So we'll make this an item for the next month's agenda. But you guys can chew on it to see whether you guys feel like, nope, we want to continue with, progressing with that. Or like Casey said, if he wants to do another spring study, kind of show, and maybe you do the spring study. Casey, I don't know if this is possible, but can you do it down here? So that's, the area by the boat launch to see if people are speeding in that area or not.
Wherever you want. We own the machine. We own the iCloud software. We have a 2-year subscription with them, and I like using it. It's a tool for us to make these decisions. Yep, it's good.
And I think, like you said, a lot of times when you see them signs there or that limit there, it does have a tendency to slow traffic down.
Mhm.
So that could have another reason why you're not seeing the speed along there. Is that the one with the lit up speed on it? Is that
don't-
just like the coner on the pole?
It's there, but we shut the light off so
Yep.
that they don't know how fast they're going.
Yeah, okay.
But even if you see it, you know that something's up.
Something up, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Beautiful.
All right.
We'll put that on for the next month, and then I don't know if you would be willing to come back, or if you want to come back via Zoom. We're Zooming all our meetings, so whether you want to try to come back. via
Either
Zoom next
way,
month.
I know, just let me know what you want to do and where you want the limits of it set if you choose to go that route. And I'll leave this all here for
Thank you.
you, and I'll leave this. I have all this on my desk. I'm doing multiple ones right now in different townships.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Casey.
You're welcome.
Okay, and maybe you want to stick around for the next one, because it just kind of ties into the last one there.
Discussion of crosswalk and additional lights by the bus garage.
So at the last meeting, the committee. Here, let me- it's on for Mike.
This is why I wanted that information on that last slide that you had up. It had the amount of traffic that was going through there at certain times of the day. And with adding that light, talking about the traffic during the nighttime, and you had all that data right there.
So at the last meeting, I can't remember if it was John Pache or who mentioned it, but we talked about the bus garage, which is on the south side of Wolf River Avenue. And many of those bus drivers park across the street just because, that's where they're parking right now. And to find a safer access going across the street. So just so the board knows, and I'm sure you guys know this, it's not a matter of just throwing down paint. I mean, it's a matter of ADA accessibility. Let me bring up the maps once you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We got to look at putting the crosswalk lines. We got to look at consider putting the crosswalk textile ramps that come up to notify people for ADA consideration. So if we're looking at that right now, and this is an older picture because obviously the city garage is still in the picture. But right now, there's not a hard surface path going into
That's the county garage.
the county garage.
Yep.
No, this is,
Yeah, you're on the right one.
Yep.
I see it. Yep.
this is the bus garage. So right now, their access, if we do something like this, we would have to consider doing curb cutout, the textile, warning ramp, hard surface, at least up to their property. But on the other side, it's kind of a weird situation because it's not really a sidewalk. It's just kind of like a parking area going into it. So we'd have to research more how we want to put, or how we would have to put some type of textile, the bump warning ramps in here. Consideration of putting the signage because it's a mid-block crossing. It's not a intersection, at an intersection. So just so the board knows, it's not a matter of just throwing down paint for safety. There's a lot of other considerations we'd have to look at. Now, the other thing I think you guys talked about was putting a light here because I don't see any
That was my
lights
question.
in this area as well. That's something that could be easily done if that's something that I'm assuming New London Utilities could do that easily, but that's another consideration of all this talk. So Casey, I don't know if you got any comments about that being the county highway. as
Everything
well?
you said was correct. You just have to have your warnings based on that speed, whatever speed it ends up being. That dictates how far away the crosswalk warning is. And then at the crosswalk, you got to have a guy walk in with the arrow pointing, saying that it's here. And then the county highway department has these all over. We just say, yeah, make sure everything's compliant, and then you do it. That's it. And this section of road, by all means, isn't very pretty, and someday we're gonna have to fix it. And I think the county highway department owns and maintains the center 24 feet, and the outsides are the city of New London. So if you end up doing a change, or if any underground utility changes or anything like Division Street a couple years ago, love to partner with you on it and do it then, or now is fine too. It's just, I don't have this project, this section of highway in my plan, but it's one of my worst in the county, especially in a high traveled area. So we should consider that as highway committee and public works committees someday in the 5-year capital plan, doing something.
Was all that something that we could do in-house?
The crosswalks and everything. I mean, we can do it, but it's, I think at the last meeting, like Johnny said, well, how much is just putting some paint down? And it's
Yeah.
not, the point is,
Right,
it's not just
right.
paint. I mean, there's the cutouts, there's the ramps, there's the signage, you know, depending on the distance. And then I'd have to, you know, this side's kind of self-explanatory, cutting it out and put the ramps in here. I don't know what the manual for uniform traffic design has for a mid-block going into a parking lot, Casey. I don't know if you know that right off the top of your head.
I don't know how many entrances even go into that old big parking lot that's across the street or not, but maybe you could look at just eliminating that one. And so there ain't so many openings going in there, and then just make it curb with an actual ramp.
Yep.
But
There's
that's-
and I think this is the waters over here.
Yeah.
I'm guessing just the different color would be the property line. So that's theirs.
Because you would not want to
Ours.
share that vehicle entrance with a crosswalk entrance. So you'd want to eliminate it as a vehicle entrance.
Correct. Yep. 'Cause just putting a ramp right here, I don't think it would be compliant
Right?
with that.
Because you can't share it. You're not supposed to share it.
Could extend the curb.
You'd have to extend the curb.
Yep.
You know, and then make a separate entrance from the crosswalk entrance in there.
And maybe the speed limit's gonna be enough to, you know, to make them happy too.
That and or light, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flashing light.
Yeah, flashing light, yeah.
What'd you run there, bus crossing or something, or,
What's that?
Pedestrian crossing?
you know, a flashing light, a yellow diamond? Be, what, caution bus
At
crossing or
minimum, I
something?
think you got to put the crosswalk signage, whether you want to put the lights. I don't think it would
Oh.
require lights, Casey, but it
Oh, I
would be,
think
it would be
it's
just another thing that you could put.
Yeah,
flashing
most of
light.
it's daytime anyway, so.
Yeah.
Just put crosswalk.
My opinion, I think we gotta study this a little bit more because we have to go down there and make sure, like you say, we stay away from that car entrance in and out of there.
Mike Pinch, any comments on utilities with lighting? I wouldn't think it'd be too much of an issue, but you got any comments on that?
I don't think that's gonna be an issue to put a light there. I mean, we just had a lot of points just brought up. The fact that, first of all, if we lower the speed and we put a light up, I mean, that already is giant improvement. And the fact that they're talking about redoing this road at a later date, it might pay to wait till you redo the road to put the crosswalk in at that point and fix the curb at that point. I mean, it just seems like that would be the natural progression if, you know, from what I've heard anyway, that's my opinion, so.
I'd say just with your crosswalk, you're looking at like a $3,500 to $4,500 if you contracted it to a Summers or something like a contractor like that. 3,500, 4,500. They'll spend more time mobilizing in and doing than the cost of it. Because we just redid the curb and coming into our highway shop. That's about the cost of it, about $4,500.
And I have not had any conversation with the school district whatsoever. So, I mean, that's another factor
That was
that
gonna be my next question.
I have not had any conversation with them. So,
I'll ask Mike Fredericks to make sure that that's doable to put a light on either one of those poles there.
but where do you guys want me to go with that? Just kind of hold on to it, or
I would say so, yeah, let us look at it once, yeah, I would say.
chew on that a little bit too? Okay. All right. Thanks for sticking around, Casey.
Very good. Yeah, if you ever guys want me back, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Casey.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item I see is an ordinance authorizing stop signs on Lawrence Street.
So if you remember in the past, we discussed slowly trying to put signage at our uncontrolled intersections. We have about 67 of them in town, 67 or 76, I can't remember. But we have quite a few that we were going to slowly over time just put stop signs at. Talking to Chief and talking to Luke, we've identified to start with several intersections on Lawrence Street, just because of the cross traffic on Lawrence, plus in proximity to the schools that are over there. We thought that'd be a good place to start. So I've got a draft ordinance here that would authorize us to do this. I know Mike went out and kind of looked at them. All of these would be stopping traffic north and south except Laura. And I did talk to Luke, and him and I just crossed wires a little bit. But if you look at Lawrence, get over here once. Thanks, Casey.
Have a good evening.
That was the one that dead ends into Lawrence?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's Laura.
Yeah, Laura dead ends on, I rode up there, that dead ends on Lawrence Street. I myself think if we're gonna put a stop sign up there, it should be on Laura Street, not Lawrence. Because you're dead ending there, you've got to turn. Why would you stop the traffic from the other street when you almost have got to stop in order to make the turn?
So like East Law and Millard.
Right, those,
Those are
I
cross
thought I
streets.
could agree with putting the stop signs on Lawrence.
So we would keep the traffic flowing east and west, because the point is to get them to the main roads, more of a collector and arterial roads on Pearl and Division, and stop the north and south traffic. So the stop signs would stop north and south on Law, same with Millard. What's the other one we had on here?
There's not much traffic on Lawrence Street anyway.
Yep.
I walked it a number of times and you don't see many cars on there.
And then
That
Laura.
really changed a lot when they allowed Lincoln and Emmanuel to cross the street. Lawrence Street used to be very busy, but
It's not anymore.
those intersections now blocked. I think it has made the traffic pattern a lot different.
We would stop it on Laura, so we would continue Lawrence flowing north and south here. And then Roland, let's see, or Martin here. Same, we would stop it on Martin as well.
Are we putting in stop signs or yield signs?
Stop signs in these.
You're stopping them every block?
Almost.
Because a lot of the traffic will get to the main roads, either Division or Pearl, and take those stretches down. It's to stop that cross traffic. Yeah.
There's not much traffic on there.
It would allow the cross traffic for the most part to get to Pearl and Division, and then they go out of town that way.
Yeah, it's, 'cause
You are going to be stopping quite a bit.
It just seems like a waste of money to stop them every block.
I disagree.
because like Pearl Street is completely a thoroughfare, whereas Lawrence is the next one east.
So it's Division.
Oh, yeah. that's
Yep,
right.
Division 2.
Yeah. So,
I'd meet you halfway and go every other one, but I think there definitely needs to be slowing
We need
down.
to slow them down. I agree with that too, but I just don't know if every block needs to have stop sign. And I agree, we do have to do something with the uncontrolled intersections because there's quite a few. Signs or something.
To talk about right now.
Almost got it like that. There's a couple of deals, but I don't know. There's some stop signs that are almost, maybe every other one, maybe a deal with a stop, deal with a stop. I don't know.
But
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, that's what Algoma is that way. I think Algoma is every other one.
Yeah.
Deal.
I think so too.
That would make more sense in my.
You know, and most of that traffic isn't gonna take Lawrence all the way down. Most of that traffic's gonna come from that subdevelopment. If they're gonna leave town, they're getting the Division or Pearl and going.
It's a division. The bill stop. You're a little bit of a pain. They're gonna get them going, what's gonna happen? You gotta stop in their block, they're not gonna stop.
you know, they're gonna change, they're gonna go someplace else.
Maybe stop the yields.
So I know Pine Street, they cruise down that road. Yeah.
I am right there, 920. And they come from this stop sign right on this corner of Pearl, down to Lyman with no stop signs there. And they're cruising. I bet you they hit 50 miles an hour. Without a doubt.
But I'm just saying, that's and there's a lot of school traffic around there. And that's,
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I work in town. I'm on these streets all the time. The four biggest streets would be Martin, Jennings, Millard, and Pine would be the four main streets that are really the key travel routes that the stop signs would benefit the most, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Mike.
Would it be smarter instead of putting, because within our budget, we want to do 5 a year.
Yep.
Be smarter to move them around instead of just focusing on all of them on Lawrence Street.
We
'Cause
can
like
do whatever
Mark
you
said, we
guys
could,
want.
because I mean, the mother-in-law lives right by Mark, and I agree with him. Once I cross Pearl Street, that traffic between Pearl and Wyman, you do get moving pretty good. So, if you could put one there, kind of slow them down in between, halfway down or whatever. I don't know what your full plan is for this.
Well, right now, we're just looking at
Right now, we were just looking at Lawrence, because let's see. There's a stop sign here, I believe,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And I believe they stop on Smith. Is that correct?
no stop signs there. It's uncontrolled.
That
right
one's
there.
uncontrolled too? Okay. That'll be another one in the future. And if you guys feel that this listing, you would rather see us change it to Pine and Smith, you could do that right now, real simple. Or if you want me to change these to yield sign, if you feel like yield is just gonna be a better situation,
I
what we're
would
talking
put,
about now.
I think I would definitely put a stop sign on Lawrence.
Which one, Mike?
Laura,
Yeah,
going into Lawrence, because it's a T intersection. You have to, if there's any complaints up there about traffic, the street that should be stopped is, in my opinion, is Laura, because you're coming to a T where you have to turn. And if you have to turn, you almost gotta stop anyway. So if we want to control an intersection, to me, that one would make a little more sense.
You're saying on Laura
When you come to Lawrence,
and Lawrence, there's no stop signs there at all?
there's nothing there now.
Oh.
But Laura comes to a dead
Yeah.
end on Lawrence Street. You've got to turn left or right.
Yeah.
I rode up there. The car kind of rolled through, even though I was going up on Lawrence Street. Kind of rolled through, and I was in the truck, so there was no question they should have seen me.
So you'd want to stop the traffic on Laura
Laura,
entering.
right. I mean, you're coming
Lawrence,
to a T intersection.
Yep, yeah, I agree with you.
When they gave me these things, I rode up there that day and I could not see stopping Lawrence Street.
Right,
To me, it's gonna make more confusion
right.
because you've got to stop and they've got to stop, and then who's gonna go, and pretty soon. Yeah. I would say if we had, I think Chad said you had a complaint up there somewhat anyway.
I think Roland and Millard have had complaints. I think it was those two I had complaints in the past.
Yeah, I don't know, would we be better off trying to put a couple yield signs up there? And if we continue to have problems, it's not gonna be a whole lot. Got to change the ordinance, right?
No, I think that doesn't, it says anything. It says stop sign or other traffic control devices, so you can put either one, right?
Yeah.
Did I read that statute right?
You guys can put yield signs on. Yep. I just have to change the verbiage of this because I just have in the draft ordinance, I just talked about stop signs.
Yeah,
Well, they found, so you want to put it on Laurel, right?
I think we should stop Laura Street.
Laura versus Lawrence.
Laura
Yeah.
goes into
Yes.
Lawrence, but it stops.
Because otherwise you're gonna be really confusing if you have Laura
Right.
be nothing and Lawrence have stop signs.
Right.
That's not gonna look
Correct.
right.
That's
Yep.
why I thought we'd stop Laura Street because you've got to turn. We could try a couple of yields up there and see what happens. Or I guess I could take another ride up
Or
there.
having the cross street, I would put a stop sign on that one. Without being able to cross. You just put a yield, you're gonna confuse them.
Right. I think you make them stop.
I think I think everybody's on the same page on Laura Street, putting a stop sign there. That's,
Yep.
Kind of seems like a no-brainer on that one.
And I guess we'd have to really look at a couple of those other streets.
Law Street's a little hard to see that there's a hedge on Law Street.
Yep.
So it's a little hard to see if you're coming down Lawrence Street or coming on Law Street. There is a hedge on that guy's house in the corner. So because I've come around it way different times. And it is a little hard to see there. I mean, you got to almost stop on one of the other streets to go across the intersection. So that would be one I would think would be a good place for a stop sign on Lawrence Street. If you want to keep Law Street traffic going east and west. You're going to stop Lawrence Street is the plan, right? That's what I'm thinking. We
That
want
would
to
be the
stop the traffic
proposal.
on Lawrence.
So let's take these all one at a time. So we got Lawrence and Law, which is right here.
Yeah.
We would allow the Law traffic to continue unimpeded.
Yeah.
And we would stop the Lawrence, but you guys want stop or yield sign there?
I would think stop signs. Not a big fan of yield signs anyway.
On Millard, you're gonna have a stop sign?
Law and Lawrence, we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll keep that a stop sign.
'Cause the law is you yield to the right anyway, if I'm correct. So that's why I'm not a big fan of yield signs. Nobody stops.
So
at stop signs,
actually,
is
on Law Street, then well, Lawrence is only going a block, right?
To the north,
Both of them are only going to block.
to the north, you go into the school.
I mean, on Lawrence Street between Pine and Law, you're only going a block. Because you've got to stop for Emmanuel. So you go up and you're allowing traffic on Law Street to go through, which probably makes a little bit of sense.
We're looking at a stop sign on Law, yield sign on Millard. Is that what we're looking at?
Whatever you guys want. So right now I've got stop sign on Laura, stop sign on Law. Is that, you guys nodding your heads on that? And then we're at Millard. Do you want, and the proposal was to keep Millard flowing and stop it on Lawrence, but do you want to stop or yield sign there?
Not real familiar with Millard. I'm very similar to go on that street, so I don't know about that. We got two more yet. You got Millard and Warren, right?
Martin and Roland, we gotta talk about yet.
Is there a lot of traffic up in Roland?
Roland, I think there's a bunch of traffic.
Yeah.
I think Roland and Martin, there's a fair amount of traffic.
I take Roland quite a bit.
Would you stop? You just stop Lawrence and Roland? And let Roland roll through?
The object is the flow of traffic to your Ds and your Mill Streets or wherever I'm looking at. I can't read anything on that big screen right there. The object is the flow of traffic and put all stop signs on Lawrence. Then nobody will be on it. I mean, I know if I turn down the road and I see stop signs all the way down the road, I'm just gonna
You're gonna go
go to the
different
next
route.
one.
And that's the point of your collectors and arterials. It's supposed to collect and
Yeah.
grab that traffic.
I walk
And
on Lawrence Street quite a bit and I don't see much traffic on Lawrence Street. And I go all the way up and come down from rolling down. And I never see hardly any traffic on there. Of course, it's usually off time when I'm walking on there. I'm not sometimes during the day, but I don't see that much traffic. I see more traffic on the cross streets.
Yep, you're right.
Well, we want them
Right.
cross streets to have the traffic.
Right.
We want to flow them.
We
There've
just
been a lot
gotta
of
decide where we want to
complaints
put the yield or the stop
I've had a
signs.
couple at, I think it was Lawrence and Roland for sure, and I think it was Lawrence and Millard, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back to my notes.
Anytime you have an uncontrolled intersection, you're gonna get a complaint when two people meet there at the same time.
And I think that's the
Everybody
point
thinks
why
that
you're
way.
stopping traffic on Lawrence, because that's the less amount of the traffic at those
Yes.
intersections.
I change it. I'll put stop signs on all. I'll never see Lord Street, but
What are the two that you said you had complaints on that you're pretty sure of?
Roland,
Roland.
there's a fair amount of traffic on Roland. I know that one for sure.
Put stop signs there on Lawrence there then.
Yep, that's one that's in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we would keep rolling, flowing. And I think Millard, or Martin, actually. Martin, if I'm not mistaken, Martin's the first cross street after Becker. Yeah, because you're St. Joe's, so once you come down Becker, that's the first cross street there. It goes east and west, so there's quite a bit of traffic that comes through here as well.
The stop sign there too then, huh?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the other one.
That's what I would say is put a stop sign on Lawrence Street there, right? Stop that intersection.
So yeah, so Martin and Lawrence, that's the five that we talked about. Martin, Laura, Roland, Miller, and Law. You would stop all the north-south traffic except on Laura. That one,
Yeah.
you're gonna stop Laura, or you're gonna stop the Laura traffic.
But I think that one up towards the school, let's see, you got the Laura one, keep going up. Roland was another one that you said, right? So
Yep.
we'll stop that one. Then you have a long, back here by Jennings, go up a little bit, pull the screen up, I should say. Now you have that T intersection there, which is Cannon Street. So that's a nice long stretch for them.
What's that?
Cameron is just like Laura, where it stops, dead ends onto Lawrence.
Jennings we're gonna leave open.
Jennings, I think, has stop sign already.
What does it?
yes,
I think it does, yep.
No, there's a stop
Yes.
sign there, yeah.
Pretty sure it does.
Warren Street?
See. I think Warren, we have stop signs already. No. I know what I could do. Leave something.
I see what you're trying to do. Go step by step. Start.
Where's my signs?
There you go.
you had that the whole time?
Yeah, it was on there. So, yeah, let me click on that one. Yep, stop sign.
Yeah.
And actually, I can show you the picture of it too.
Like there's 3 stop signs on there, huh?
So Millard. This one.
Miller already got one?
No,
I don't remember one there.
oh, it's
I
neighborhood
don't
watch.
see one on Miller.
This one might be the street, yeah, it's the street name sign.
Oh, okay.
So that's just the cross. The
Yeah.
green one. So we would control this intersection, Millard, and then control Law as well.
There's stop signs there.
Which one? Pine?
Yeah, Pine and Smith. Them are stop signs.
That sign's in Mark's basement.
I knew there was a stop sign. I knew there was a stop sign there.
They don't stop.
Well, that's what I
No.
said. They don't stop for stop signs anyway.
Mark, I don't know how many times I've almost broadsided people on that
Yeah.
one. They don't stop by your house at all.
The
What
Law
we-
Street,
what we're
that
putting
must
up
be
then-
street signs and such. huh?
Two stop signs and one yield sign? That what we're looking at?
Crosswalk school.
What's that, Bob?
We're looking at two stop signs and a yield sign?
Right now I got them all as stop signs, but I
I thought
haven't.
we moved to stop sign.
I just
Huh?
move all the stop signs. The only one you're just make sure you're stopping on Laura Street, not Lawrence.
Yes.
I agree. You gotta, even though it's a pain, people figure it out.
People are complaining of speeding and traffic.
The uncontrolled intersections. That's the complaint that I've had in the past. Because nobody knows where to stop. I mean, uncontrolled.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Bob. I mean, them yield signs, nobody really pays attention.
The only thing a yield sign does is give you, if you get an accident, they were supposed to slow
Who's to
down.
blame, yeah.
It does control an intersection. I don't know what the cost difference is between yield and the stop sign. Just don't know what the.
And there might be other areas where you really think yield signs would be a better scenario.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I guess if you guys are cool with that, then we just need a recommendation to take this to council then.
I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Discuss progress on Mill Street improvement project.
So like we've talked about in the past, Outagamie County Highway Department has been talking about doing a mill and overlay on Mill Street, which is County Highway T, which is Mill Street past the hospital, and it turns on Beacon up to Division Street. That's County Highway T. They were talking about doing a mill and overlay in 2020. Originally, it was 2021. We went back to them and said, whoa, if you guys are going to do that, we want to check our utilities and make sure we don't have failing utilities in that area. They agreed to push it back to 2022. And since then, we've been doing investigation work between the city and New London Utilities, talking about how we're going to proceed. Now, the sanitary sewer, after evaluating it, McMahon, our engineer, does not feel it would be, that's going to last a good 20 years yet. We're going to have problems that would need some major improvements in 20 years, which would be the lifespan, at least, of that new mill and overlay road. Been talking with Jason at New London Utilities, and Jason's got concerns with timing with his bond schedule to finance the improvements in Mill Street. Now, the water side, from what Jason has said, the water side's okay. The problem would be is if we would dig up the sanitary sewer to replace that or work on that, that's going to expose the water pipes, and Mike obviously can attest to that. Exposing that's going to probably move things around enough to make that the water side of it damaged or would need replacement as well. And Jason just in his bonding schedule, New London Utilities has done quite a bit of work in the last couple of years with projects and the electrical side projects, getting to a point where they are today. They don't have the financing for a 2021 project to do the water side. So Jason and I talked to Outagamie County Highway Department and said, hey guys, just the timing wise, are you guys okay? Mill Street's not in the worst shape in the world. We would love to see improvements, but can we push that off a little bit farther so that we can save up financing for the water side and even help us even better with the sanitary side? And they were receptive to that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't know, Mike, you want to pipe in on the utility side as well?
Well, we do have old pipe from Beacon to High Street. And by that, I mean that would be a sand cast pipe which means that the joints are leaded. So they basically slid a bell pipe into the, to the connected to pipes, and they use lead, melted lead to hold it together. So when you start dangling those pipes in the air without any support of dirt underneath them, they tend to basically collapse. We had that happen on Spring Street or Cook or one of those over by Wyman and Shawano a couple of years back when we were doing some sewer work, and we ended up having to redo the whole water main on a block because it collapsed. And we had some problems on Division Street when we did that as well, because we were not intending on doing the water. However, on Mill Street, the water main is way closer to the sanitary sewer than it was on Division. So when we were doing Division and you were digging down 14 to 17 feet at some of those manholes, the banks were basically right on the edge of the main on Division Street. But when you would get to Mill Street now, those pipes would just be hanging right in the air and probably going to collapse, almost guaranteed, because you're going to have some crosses and some, complicated stuff that are dangling right in the air. And I almost guarantee that it will collapse, and then major repairs are necessary no matter what on the water side. So therefore, if you are doing sewer work, we better do the water work at the same time, or there'll be substantial repairs needing done anyway, in my opinion anyway. So is that what you were kind of looking for, Chad?
Yep, exactly. I think it was a good summary of what could happen. So like I said, we reached out to Allegheny County Highway Department and we asked them to kind of push back. We don't have a deadline yet when they're looking at putting it in, but I think we're just going to continue talking between utilities, the city, and Allegheny County Highway Department to just line up all our funding schedules to make sure everything works out. So it's kind of the summary where we're at right now. Questions?
All right. That's just discussion only. And next thing is director's report.
Yep. I don't think there was anything too exciting. Let me see if we got service anniversary report. Glenn Besaw, he's a street operator, but started as a wastewater treatment plant operator, has completed 33 years of service on November 4th. So he's been here quite a long time. And as for everything else, I mean, my report's got what other projects and things we've been going around. The street sweeper will be definitely out for another week or so. I'm trying to collect all those the leaves that are in the curb yet. We're trying to clean that up, but the major of leaf and brush pickup is obviously done for this season. We're just cleaning up the curbs and the remaining leaves. That's it.
Okay. Items for next month. Anybody have, other than we will probably review X?
Yep, 4 and 5 on the agenda. We'll review again Highway X, and then the bus garage. We'll kind of continue to talk about that. That's all I can think of right now.
Okay. Call for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I